6 and 4.
That's not so bad. Mine is just almost 2. I trained you for a little while.
Yeah.
Mine can't say GG yet. He just says this. And this. And when he wants you to do something,
Meeting.
he'll just drag you by your thumb
Monday comes a workshop.
to the refrigerator outside, whatever he wants.
Yeah, I did pretty good. You do okay?
But just wherever he wants to go.
First day back after the holiday, everything.
Grab your thumb and start drinking.
That was,
Second day after the holiday?
so that's 5.
Oh, you did?
On Wednesday. Today's Thursday.
I got a workshop.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We're going to call the administrative committee, call to order. Would you please stand for the invocation? Bow heads. Oh, Father God, thank you, O Lord, that you have been so good and gracious to us, O Lord. For we know we're not the only parish in the world, but DeSoto Parish is so beautiful, Lord. We ask you to protect everyone that's in this room tonight, O Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All men, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I hope everyone had a great 4th of July. Spend time with family and friends. President report, we don't have anything. Legal counsel report,
None.
none. Is there any call for additions and deletions to the administrative committee?
Are we gonna do them all now, or we just gonna wait till, since there's nothing on building properties,
Well, we could add it.
so we can add it? I got a couple. We need to, like amend the agenda to discuss possible funding source for the new detention center. And the second one is to amend the agenda to go out for bids on the new roof on the 4X building.
Okay.
And I make that in a motion, both of them together.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Fuller, second. Roll call vote to these items be added to the building properties agenda. Mr. Fuller?
Aye.
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 Okay. This here will be added to the building properties, which will be the last committee on the agenda. Okay, Mr. Holmes, or your new business?
Okay. Administrative items. Appoint a new DeSoto Parish representative to the Northwest Louisiana Human Service District Board.
So move.
Mr. Fuller, motion by Mr. Fuller. I'll second.
Do we have any names available?
But I want to know.
I don't know that we have any names available.
I don't think so at this time. Mr. Michael, Mr. Norton, have you received any names?
Yeah, y'all have, there's a letter attached, you're talking about for the appointment to the house?
It didn't mention any
Yeah, they
names.
didn't mention
so-
any names, though. I didn't see any.
Yeah, this was deferred to the I mean, we've reached out and asked if the jurors have anybody they want to appoint. I thought they had an appointment, someone would give us a name of someone. They request a name from us, and parish secretary reaches out to the jury to see if y'all have anybody I want to appoint to this board. That was formerly held by Bridget Salisbury. She's with she does the Victims Assistance Program with the district attorney's office.
sir.
She had to step down because it's a working committee and it's very busy. But I have not received a name from anyone.
Okay.
No, sir.
Well, since we just carry on to the regular meeting, I ask everyone to kind of ask around and maybe gather up some names so we can decide on.
Try to have names by 2 weeks from now.
Yes, sir.
Say.
Yes, sir. Okay. Roll call vote, Mr. Baker.
We voting on it?
Just to move it to the next meeting.
Yeah, move,
Have a name.
name for the representation for the Northwest Louisiana Human Service District Board.
Aye.
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 All right, item number 2, adopt a resolution for the parish to clear roads within town, cities, villages as needed when an emergency declaration has been issued. Have a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Ms. Burrell has a motion. Ms.
Second.
Boyd, second. Any discussion? Vote? All right. Have a motion for the administrative committee to adjourn. Have a motion, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Budget and Finance Committee.
Call the Budget and Finance Committee to order. I'll call for any additions or deletions to the Finance Committee. Hearing none. Any guest and public comments? Hearing none. The first item is to amend the general fund budget in the amount of $66.64 and 44 cents for bulletproof vest and barriers for the coroner's office. There's a correction to that. That amount is just for the vest, not for the barriers.
So move. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir.
That's what we were discussing.
Mr. Baker,
Mr.
Mr.
Rowe.
Rowe's not on there, but I'll make the motion.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
May I inject? Before you come with your comment, could we have Mr. Billy, or Mr. Locke, to come and explain, if you don't mind,
that's project fine.
what this is?
Oh, I know what it is.
Well, maybe some of the other jurors might not know.
I know what a bulletproof vest
I
is.
know what
He
it's
kind of
about.
give us a take on it.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I'm here on behalf of Dr. Henderson. She had to be at work today. What we're asking for in the bulletproof vest is vest for the investigators when they go on scenes. Sometimes you have large crowds gather. This is a safety issue, and we feel like that if someone went to shooting in the crowd, we don't want an investigator shot, okay? The barriers are to go around the body to keep people from filming and putting it on video. No one wants to learn that their loved one was killed on Facebook, which is unfortunately what's happening. It's also to secure a crime scene, to allow the investigators time to do what they need to do with the body before transport.
Thank you.
Yeah, I still want to say something.
Oh, go, yeah, I mean,
I just really want to know, cause see here, in the last year or so, everybody look like they be riding our back. These folks ain't got a budget. Can they can't pay for nothing? We can start looking like we financing everything for everybody. To me, I mean, that's what it looking like to me. Don't the coroner's office have a budget?
The coroner's office is paid through the police jury per Louisiana revised statute, which states if the coroner asks for something, the jury will provide it.
And y'all using that, and you know what? Y'all using that for, but y'all got a budget. So what y'all do with y'all budget? Y'all don't have to do nothing, just hold on to y'all budget. And anything y'all need, y'all.
No, ma'am, we pay bills out of our
police jury.
budget, Ms. Burrell. We pay for autopsies, we pay for transportation, we pay for crime lab. So there's,
Last, when y'all, she became the coroner, I understand it was a good little piece of change left in the budget. So I'm just really trying to see, cause now everybody, it ain't just the coroner's office. Now everybody do like, to me, they bullying her. And then they make it say, well, if I ain't got to do nothing but ask for it, and this, I got a problem with that. I really do. Cause to me, that's running out. If it ain't the coroner's office, it's the DA's office. It ain't the DA's office, it's the judges. If it ain't, when we gonna have some money to spend on the constituents? Cause we gonna be paying for everybody else stuff, and the constituents are gonna be left by the wayside. It just is what it is to me.
Mr. Brown?
Mr. Baker.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you were chairman for 30 seconds. How many vests would that be?
that'd be a vest for all 6 of the employees.
Six of them?
Six.
And the sheriff department, are you in the sheriff department now?
This has nothing to do with the sheriff's
I
office.
know, but are you on the sheriff's department?
Am I?
Yeah.
I am.
Okay, when the sheriff's department goes on the scene, all they do is put a ribbon, isn't it?
Yes,
About
yes,
the
the barricades will actually block the body from camera view and from onlookers. That's what the barricades are. They're not, it's not tape, it's not designed, they're gonna barricade out their crime scene,
Oh, yeah,
but this actually
protects.
protects the body, so that if that's your loved one laying there, nobody can walk by and be videoing it, because you get a lot of that. And that's everywhere, that's not just DeSoto Parish.
I have a question. The barriers, how tall?
The barriers,
Yes.
they're 6 foot tall.
Okay, so they would, be able to do what is needed, which is, because me personally, I don't want to find out or see a loved one of mine laying down on the ground with just something over it and some tape. With everything that has gone on these last couple of weeks, that's why I'm asking, how tall are
And
these
this,
dividers?
excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to walk
That's
on
right.
you. These barriers will actually have a dome that can be placed over it.
Okay,
So that they couldn't even fly a drone over here and see you.
okay.
What's the cost of those barriers?
Huh?
The barriers are $54.96.
Right at $6,000.
And with the bulletproof vests, all that's gonna come to 6,000?
No.
No.
That's a typo that happened. The vest alone are 66, 64, and then the barrier is 50, whatever Mr. Baker just said.
$54.96,
So the total cost is,
$12,000 and change.
$12,160.44.
Mr. Banks?
could you repeat that again?
$12,160.44.
Okay.
Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir.
How are you gonna transport those barriers? Do they fold up or something?
They'll go in the coroner's vehicle. Yeah, they fold up.
They're
They actually collapse.
Collapse,
They'll come in 2 large duffel bags with wheels on them.
okay.
You'll simply pull them out, and then you'll assemble them in whatever position you need to assemble them to try to keep onlookers off.
So what y'all spend y'all money on is public knowledge, right? Cause I'd like to know.
Excuse me, ma'am?
What the money y'all use out y'all's funds, is it public knowledge? Cause I'd like to know.
Ma'am, y'all pay our bills.
We pay
Well, I wanna know.
Yes, ma'am. Everything that's spent goes through we come out of the general fund for the police jury.
So y'all don't have a fund, or y'all don't have, they don't have a certain amount of money?
They have a budget in our budget, yes, ma'am.
Oh, they got a budget, right?
They
How
don't have
much
no
is
tax
they
figure.
budget?
They have no revenue
Go get a
stream.
copy of it. I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you exactly. An idea.
Ms. Burrell, I have it in my office. I can give it to you after the meeting, because in our budget book, it's all under the judicial. It's all jumbled up with the court and the DA's, but I do have a separate one I can give you after the meeting.
Okay, I'm just asking, cause really for real, if we gonna need all this extracurricular stuff, we need to be adding that into the budget to me from the first beginning of the fiscal year. Don't get your budget and then come back and say, oh, we need 15,000 here. We need another 30 here. We need, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. We'll have your list for the budget of next year.
Yeah, y'all need to have an accurate budget, what it's gonna cost, instead of coming back with these extra costs 3-4 times so you don't dine in the year.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead, never mind.
I was just going to inject on this. This here came about, I'm assuming, Mr. Bailey, after this incident occurred a month or two ago.
Yes.
Y'all was in a very bad situation,
Very bad situation.
and that's how this occurred. They didn't know
Yes.
they needed money for this in the beginning.
Yes.
They didn't know this. And, I mean, it wasn't enough officers to protect y'all,
Well,
because there was fights breaking out here, fights
They were
breaking out.
everywhere.
they was
Everywhere.
everywhere. and
Pockets.
At one point, an officer actually did take one of our investigators and put her behind a vehicle.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
In, this past year, when you submitted, when your office, submitted their, budget, didn't they ask for a freezer
Yes, sir.
and it got turned down?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So you do submit things that you need in the budget when you know about it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So they normally do submit their budget and put things in there that they would like to have.
Yes, sir.
But I think, jurors voted that down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we did, and we also, they got quite a bit, Mr. Holmes. They got quite a bit now. They got raises, they got 2-3 more employees. They got quite a bit. They got, for a matter of fact, the coroner now started throwing out with a salary nearly double what the coroner was. Along with a stipend with a gas card. Come on, if we gonna try to put it out there like that, then I'm gonna put it out and let the public know just what's really
Well, they should know.
what we doing.
That's right, they should know. But all of these things they've asked for, they've needed, so I don't think they've asked for anything they didn't need as of yet.
Any other discussion? Kyle, you made the motion
Yes, sir. I'll make a alternate motion
to include the barricades?
to change the amount to $12,160.44.
Who seconded the original motion?
Mr. Mitchell?
I did.
Will you second that motion?
I will.
Motion and a second to expend the funds to buy the barricades and the protective vest. Y'all please vote now.
I'm gonna vote for, but why wasn't the total price put on there from the beginning?
It was a mistake the way they typed it up.
Oh, okay.
They saw the second part, if you look there on the quote sheet in your book, they saw that second line that showed the engraving and all for the vest. They assumed that was for the barricades. They didn't turn the page.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I see it.
That's why we're correcting the motion now.
I see it. This page here.
Passes. Second item is to amend the general fund budget to purchase 2 mowers in the amount of $24,888 for the mowing crew. This is the crew that cuts the courthouses and all in our public property. This does not include the crew that does the compactor sites, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
This is just the basic ground crews for the public buildings.
Yes, sir.
Their mowers are old. I don't think those have been replaced in,
Over 10 years.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, currently, the ones that we have 2 of them that have literally fallen apart, and we're gonna spend a few $1,000s to fix them.
I have a motion and a second, and these are purchased off the state contract?
Yes, sir.
Yes, these are purchased off the state contract.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. I have a motion by Mr. Fuller, a second by Mr. Mitchell. Is there any discussion?
Are these commercial?
Yes, sir.
I think they're in here, Richard, I believe.
see Kawasaki, but then it's over the commercial.
Contract. That's the very last page.
Look,
Yeah, it
Yeah,
don't
it
say
does say
commercial,
it.
does it, Richard?
wait a minute, hold on.
But I'm sure they are. That she does.
Yeah, they are.
Y'all please vote now. Motion passes. A motion to adjourn the Budget and Finance
So
Committee.
Move.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you. Road committee,
Road committee come to order. Is there any additions or deletions? Any guest or public comments? Item 1, amend ordinance 4 of 2023 and ordinance 6 of 2023, amending the fees associated with the permit to heavy and oversized loads on parish-maintained roads and bridges.
so move.
Motion by Mr. Arnell. Second by Mr. Keith Parker. Any discussion?
I have just a question. On the ordinance 6 part of 2023, where it gives the prices for the permits. I have a little bit of a problem for having to buy a permit to get one load of rock delivered to my driveway. So it says under here, it says 1 to 2 truck trips, a 10-day permit, contact road department. What are they gonna tell me when I contact them?
Those permits, we have to issue a permit to make sure that we have a record of what vehicle is gonna be on the road, but those permits are not, they don't cost anything for the person who is making 1 to 2 trips. They are instructed to contact, because it is a 10-day permit, and we had to modify 2 sections of the ordinance to accommodate for the 10-day. That way, that question, if you have 1 or 2 trips, it's not gonna be, they're not gonna spend it, but
And
they'll
it
have
is,
10 days.
it would be, if I wanted to load a rock, it would be my responsibility to call the road department?
You could do that as the person purchasing it, but typically that's the person who owns the truck, but I believe you're allowed that, yes. I mean, if you wanted to order a load of rock and you hired an individual to come in, you can technically get it under our current ordinances and give them a copy of it. They would need a copy of that road, that permit. Because there are some roads, regardless of the permit, they can't be on certain roads because they're just not
They
lanes.
still, you still want them to have a route?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's my only question.
Okay, I got a question too, Mr. Norton. I mean, we run into a deal up there. I don't think that we ought to be charging for a $100 permit to take dirt to a nonprofit organization. Up there on my area, we had a Wounded Warriors, and the 2 permits was gonna cost them $200, and it was gonna take them 2 free loads of dirt. Now, if we can't help our nonprofit committees around, these people that lost their legs and their arms protecting our freedom, and we're gonna charge them for 2 loads of dirt to take care of our veterans, I don't think that's right.
That's, well, I believe that's the same question I had. Eddie.
Right.
It was, and also, to go in, how is this gonna affect the farmers when they're hauling the tractors and equipment up and down to the hay fields and stuff and hauling hay? I think the farmers ought to be exempt.
It's a 18,000 pound per single axle weight limit, or 58,000 pounds, and so that's, I mean, you're talking about a pretty high weight limit. So, I mean, if you're talking about your average load of dirt or your, I mean, speaking from experience here, my husband has a dump trailer, and I think it's the axle, it's a big one. Axle on that, I think is rated 3,500 pounds. I mean, it's, you know, it's, you're talking about a pretty big piece of equipment if you're talking 18,000 pound rating per axle. I'm just wanted to point that out, that there was
Yeah.
a weight restriction in this
And we
ordinance.
have that bigger equipment.
Oh, I'm not saying you don't, I'm just saying that it is not,
And an 18-yard dump truck is gonna be more than 58,000 pounds.
Right, and if that's the case, they would be required to get a permit. Because there's permanent routes that they would have to take to stay off the cut-through roads that cannot handle the weight of those trucks.
And the $100 permit is 3 to 149 loads. So if you get 2 loads, it's free.
Why is the permit officer stopping them and writing them tickets in?
Oh, wow.
Because we haven't passed this yet.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Kennington.
I'm not on the committee, but I do have a question. We have several individuals that live, I know in my district and your district, that own their own trucks.
District.
Yours too? How are we treating them when they go home?
Well, this actually came up. A gentleman asked me about this, and he lived in Frierson. He called me and said, I've been out here 4 years, and now I'm getting tickets for bringing my vehicles to my house. I said, well, this is an ordinance that's been in place far prior to my administration. From what I understand, you moved to DeSoto Parish knowing that these ordinances, these laws are in place. I can't give them a pass just because they live there. I mean, unless the jury decides they don't want, if you're a resident here, then you're exempt from the permit, but the fact is, if your truck weighs so much, you're gonna damage a road, and the permit, it basically insures the jury from, if they damage the road because they live on the road and they're parking their vehicle there, are they gonna be subject to paying for it? I think that's a slippery slope to come down. It's gonna be like the 0 to 9 permit issue. Everybody's gonna be living here and everyone's gonna haul farming equipment, and therefore people are not gonna get issued permits to protect the roads. Do we wanna protect the roads, or do we wanna accommodate?
Yeah, I'm not arguing all the semantics of it. I'm just saying there's 2 people that live on Missile Base Road that drive dump trucks for a living, and they park them in their backyard every night. There's one person that lives on Brown Road on my street, back past my house, that drives a semi-truck. He comes home every night. He leaves out every morning. How are we gonna treat those people?
The same way we've been treating them since prior to my administration. I mean, if the jury wants me to,
They gotta buy a permit to go home, or they get a ticket?
they have to buy a permit, an annual permit. Depends on how often they ride. If they take 1,000 trips, are we not to hold them liable for damaging that road?
Not if they're empty.
Well, the gross weight on those
That's
trucks,
my-
if
that's
it's
my
over
question.
18,000 pounds per axle, even empty, they're gonna be over that weight. That's inside the truck, stamped inside the door of the truck. They have a gross weight, and as long as they're following the DOTD guidelines, if they're below that, then they wouldn't have to get a permit. But if they're above that standard, that is a DOTD standard, they have to have a permit.
Well, the gross weight that's stamped inside the door is how much the truck can
They
haul.
can haul, not that they are.
It's not its actual weight. An empty dump truck can drive on any road in DeSoto Parish. It doesn't weigh 56,000 pounds empty.
Yeah, but they typically have 2 axles, and it's 18,000 pounds, so if they're over 36,000 pounds, they would be required, as I understand it, they would be required to get a permit.
Well, somebody's a little bit wrong, because an empty dump truck is 18, and nobody wants to count the front axle. It's part of the weight, and it has a weight limit to the front axle that they're allowed to do. And there is no dump truck made that can't run empty on the DeSoto Parish Road without a permit.
I don't disagree with that, Greg. It's
So
what-
if
from
they're
what-
driving it back and forth from home, they don't need no permit because they're underweight. Now, they're bringing a load of dirt home with them, that's a different question. And I side on your argument. But an empty truck is not too heavy for the roads in DeSoto Parish. You can go out there and put your scales on them, I'll stand right by you, and they'd be underweight.
Does that hold true to a semi-truck?
A semi-truck, just the tractor part of the semi-truck, don't weigh no 56,000 pounds. He can only be 80 total with the trailer.
So if a truck, and I'm asking, because I don't drive a truck, that kind of truck. Truck and trailer, if he comes home, a semi-truck with a trailer every day, he's good. He's under that.
Empty.
Believe if you
And I'm not
weigh-
talking about a dump truck. I'm talking about a box truck
You
or,
weigh him per axle because he now has more than 2 axles. He now has 4 axles plus a steel axle, which is 5. You add all them weights up, if he's empty, he's below the weight.
I believe when it's referencing 18,000 pounds per single axle, that's the rated axles. That's not every axle, like the front axle.
The
that doesn't
front
ha-
axle is part of the weight of a truck, and it's usually 12,000 pounds.
I'm not an expert on that.
does a truck and trailer weigh 58,000 pounds?
No, not
Okay,
empty.
that's all I needed to know.
He's making a living hauling 80,000. If his truck and trailer weighed 56, he can only carry 34,000. He ain't gonna make no money.
No, he broke.
We're good then.
Mr. Chairman.
And the other thing here, Michael, excuse me, is that every farmer in this parish ships out cattle once or twice a year. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I put 57 head of cows on the trailer the other day, which went 80-something thousand pounds. Now, do you want the cows to stay in the pasture, or you want to eat McDonald's?
I guess the question would be, do we want to repair the roads that are damaged by those vehicles, or do we not?
Once a year, Michael, once a year.
The once a year is free, Reggie. That's what this
You
amendment.
know, maybe twice a year.
That's free.
Well, why is the permit officer stopping them?
I didn't know the permit officers were stopping farmers with cattle. That's news to me. That's the first time I've heard of that.
Between 1 and 2 trips.
Who's gonna count?
I didn't know that they were being stopped at all.
Who's gonna count them?
Well, that's what, it's a 10-day permit.
It's my
a
money,
10-day
I'm gonna
temporary
count 'em.
permit.
I'm talking about the trucks.
And I might, if you're lucky, put it in your bank, but I'm gonna count them trucks and them cows.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, Mr. Parker.
Go ahead,
You're on
Mr.
the
Parker.
committee, and I'm
Y'all,
not.
I was just gonna, put in a little information that I know personally. You was talking about the truck weights. When I was in the logging business, the truck I had, it was a fold-up log trailer on it, would weigh just a little over 16,000 pounds empty, was folded up and everything. So when you're talking about an empty truck, we're not exceeding any weight limit we have here in DeSoto Parish. Unless he's, and I don't know what kind of trailer they would be pulling, but it would have to be an extremely heavy trailer because the truck itself, just the tractor itself, is not gonna weigh maybe 20,000 at the most.
Most of your trailers now are aluminum anyway.
Does that count the trucks that,
Mr. Rowe.
like the water trucks and all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, how them water trucks be on cow pullers? Do they have to pay them?
Yes, ma'am. They have to obtain a permit.
What about a fire truck?
I don't think a fire truck
We're
has
not
to get the
gonna pay
permit.
for no permit.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I'm
know
not,
that
I'm
right.
not on the committee, but I just wish the committee would seriously consider ag exempt on all this.
I think there ought to be ag exempt.
So, could I ask a question? How do you police that? If you add an exemption, listen, I'm speaking from experience in just in tax collection. If you add an exemption, then you're gonna, if someone's driving a truck home and say, I live here, you know, here's, how do we enforce, or say they're hauling cattle, how do we know they're a farmer? Does it qualify?
Cause they have to.
Run their license plate, they got farm
They
plates on
got
their
to-
truck.
But we're not equipped to run license plates. These guys are pulling over, checking
On
permits.
911.
They supposed to have a form thing in the first place anyway, saying that they are a farmer, cause I got one.
Yes, ma'am. And in those instances, every person who gets a permit citation calls our office and wants us to waive it because they had a permit, but most of them don't have permits. So I'm okay with that. I just,
Can I say? Mr. Rowe.
Go ahead, Mr. Fuller.
All of them tearing up the road, I don't care whether, what weight it was. Because once it started, I mean, the big ones, the heavyweight can actually tear them up, but the others coming on them same, they tearing it up too, so everybody's tearing it, the cars tearing them up. But these big trucks are tearing them up more than, just cars. like I say, you know, I can't say exempt, I mean, just because you don't have that much weight, you still tearing up this road. Yeah, that's me, you still tearing up the road.
And going forward, we're ordering those scales. They will be able to weigh these vehicles. If these vehicles are under the weight, then they're not gonna have to have the permit. So if you have a cattle farmer who's making multiple trips, and they get pulled over, and they have to get on the scale, and they fall under the weight, then they're not gonna have to have the permit to begin with. So,
That's what I was wondering, what the.
I just don't think you need to try to put the small businessman out of business.
$100.
No, what is the change?
That's what I'm saying.
Any more questions?
One to
Yes, sir, I
one to
got-
two
I-
trucks
Oh, I'm
is-
sorry.
Is free.
Go ahead.
I mean,
So
look
now,
at the
on
prices.
the one we have now, it's not free.
$100 a year,
What is it?
$250 a
So
year.
1 to 149 is.
I mean,
That put them out of business, they wasn't in business.
Yeah, but is this per road?
no, no,
it's a
One
permanent
load of
route.
dirt,
What
you
we're
have to add
changing, so what's
$250
changing?
to a load
Yes.
of dirt.
no.
Just
1 to
adding
2
it
loads
to
is free.
permit
It's
language
per
to
road
make-
though, if you don't, you
make
better
it-
ask that question because it is per road.
It is per road.
If I wanna make 1 or 2 trips and I wanna go down Smyrna Road, then it'll cover me for 1 to 2 trips on Smyrna Road. But if got 2 loads of dirt also to carry down another parish road, then it'll be 2 more loads. But if I had 3 loads to go down any of these roads, I'd have to have a permit for each road. That'd be $200 per road.
That's correct.
So that's not gonna cover me for every road in the parish. That's not gonna cover Mr. Howell that lives on Smyrna Road that carries dirt to people's houses on every road. He's not gonna get 150 to 99 truck trips a year on every road in the parish. He's gonna get it on one parish road.
One more thing. But if the landowner pays for the permit, give the truck driver a copy, he works off that copy. That landowner got that permit for 1 year. He might wait 3 months down the road on another load. Well, that's free, he already got that. That truck driver go to the next landowner. He buys his permit. Truck driver hauls that dirt or rock. Give him a copy of it. Nothing off the truck driver. The landowner paying the $100. I'm quite sure.
That's the thing about it though, is what, like Mr. Howell, a load of dirt cost about $350. You add another $100 to the price of that load of dirt, you think he's gonna sell much dirt?
But a $350 worth of dirt isn't gonna weigh 58,000 pounds. That's what I was trying to say earlier. You don't fall under this because it's not a 58,000 pound load. If you're paying $350 worth of dirt weighs 58,000 pounds?
No, the total
Total
amount
of the truck
ends up being
and the
56,000.
And dirt is gonna be over the 50.
But that's
Dirt ain't
that's
light.
why the 10-day permit
I
is
should-
issued for 1 to 2 truck trips for permanent routes. If the landowner wants to buy some dirt, 1 load of dirt won't cost them
I need
anything.
to buy my dirt from you.
Just have 10 days to execute it.
50 pounds
If they
of
don't
dirt,
execute it, they can call back and get another 10-day permit.
$300 a dog
That's the
dirt
purpose
is
of
gonna
this.
put you over
This is
That's
to,
the purpose of the 1 to 2 truckload trips,
yes, sir.
so that he can carry 2 loads of dirt. Do we think that's high enough, just 2 trips?
That was based upon conversations I had with several jurors, you know. The argument presented to me is if someone wants to bring 1 load of dirt or 2 loads of dirt, they gotta pay $100, you know, on top of it. We can change that to 1 to 5. But
that's what
I caution you, it was 1 to 9, and 80% of the calls was, well, I'm only making 9 trips.
Yeah,
How do you police that?
Same way you police 1 to 2. You're not gonna be able to.
No, you are,
It's a
because
10-day
we added
permit.
the 10-day permit. That was part of the function of trying to get from everybody claiming they're only making 1 to 2 trips, was to
only
make
got
the
a certain amount
permit
of time to
10
make those
days. They
trips.
only got, they
But
can't
if-
make it all year. They got 10 days to make
But
it.
if I have a 10-day permit, how are you gonna know if that's my first trip, my second trip, or my third trip?
Well, I mean, I guess you can, there's never gonna be anything that is foolproof, but, a 10-day, you only have so many time to run trips.
I would say increase the truck trips and decrease the 10-day permit, the 10 days. I mean,
We were just trying to be reasonable. I mean, if somebody gets delayed on a job, or it's raining, or you have an emergency, I mean, you know, if you make it too tight, it's tough.
Over Parish Road. You just have to have a permit for that road.
Okay, like, you go ahead, Mr. Carter.
Go ahead.
I have a question for a home builder or somebody that's building a house. So if I understand it right, if they go down 2 parish roads, they gotta buy a permit for each road?
That's correct.
well,
So
no,
if-
they would get a route. They would give them the address, right, Mr. Kenny,
Yes, sir.
Norton? They'd give them the address, and they would tell them where they're located, and they would get a route to go down both of the roads. It would not be.
So just be one
both of
permit.
Those roads at
As
that
far as I
time.
know, and
One permit for that trip.
our permit officers, and, you know, maybe Woodley or Philip can correct me on this, but if that's the situation and they need to make multiple trips, it's an annual permit, so it's for 1 year right now.
But what he's asking, I think, is.
If they're building a house
I wanna build
pad,
a house on Spates Road. The only way to get to Spates Road is either down Belbire Road or Hogeye Road. So that's 2 parish roads they're gonna have to go on. Spates Road plus one more, either Hogeye or Belbire. So one permit would cover the trip. Y'all would give them a route.
Correct. They're all permitted
So
routes,
you would be
yes, sir.
permitted up with one permit for that route. So it would be only one permit.
Yeah.
If there's another parish road up there and they're having to go down it, they had to go down Hogeye, Spates, and maybe another one, then they would have the trip outlined out for them.
I hope y'all have a finance degree to figure out that. Because I know when I built my house, there was probably 16 trucks bringing dirt to my house. And they ran for about 3 days. They had short trucks, they had long trucks.
And they had probably operating under a permit that we issued, I'm sure. For the 0 to 9, I'd be willing to bet.
Any more questions?
One thing I wanna, to make that many trips, that permit, it was allowed for that many trips, right?
It was allowed for 1 to 9 trips.
1 to 9 trips?
Back then, it was 1 to 9.
Most of the
without
calls
any-
you got, most of the permits you requested over there were the 1 to 9 trips, and those were free. I mean, that was a pretty commonplace. The ladies over there told me specific, well, everyone calls and says they're making 9 trips. I mean, that's just pretty common. Your Chesapeakes, your SWNs, the big oil generator,
Right.
generators, they always would get the annual, the biggest one, because they're gonna make 1,000 or more trips to these oil pads.
And what do they pay?
$500.
$500.
So you're,
So you're saying the
you're-
dirt truck?
you're
the
gonna-
Cement truck, the shingle truck, everybody got to pay.
so one well can pay $500 for every truck that goes to that well?
Yes, sir.
But if I have one truck come to my house,
It's,
it's
under
free.
this new revised one, it'd be 0.
3 trucks you have to pay.
So you'll have to build 1/3 of your house.
I'm just saying, so an oil well gets off cheaper than what somebody building a house gets.
They're also responsible for repairing the roads,
they
which,
would have to
that's
repair
part of
that
their
road
road
also.
program.
If we get them to pay.
Yeah, if they
One more thing, Mr. Rowe, you said this a couple of weeks ago, which it was a great idea. For the different permits, like you got the $100 and $250. When we issue that permit, we can get them a sticker to stick into one of those trucks, different colors. So you'll know, well, this guy here got a 10-day permit, or this guy here got a year permit. You know, like at the Rock Yard, you pull up, you got a number sticker, they know who you are. You don't have to get out.
That's a good idea.
Any more discussion?
I don't know if I can make a decision on this tonight, man. I don't know if I can make a decision on this tonight. I don't know. I don't wanna hurt the people who do business in the parish on the roads. I do understand that, you know, we do have to protect our roads. I don't know. there have been times when we decide to wanna change permits or things of that nature. We kinda do it with, we go through a workshop first.
Workshop.
The NECOM. Cause I don't, like I said, people don't like us enough. We can't get taxes passed. And I don't wanna hurt, we probably want, as seem that we are on the working man's side. We're not penalizing them for doing business in the parish.
Yeah, you're right, Mr.
So
Jones.
there's a kind of trying to balance the two of them.
Go ahead, Mr. Parker.
I want to make an alternate motion that we postpone this until we actually have a workshop on it, where we can decide amongst ourselves is what's best for the parish on the permit issue. Because I see right now, we got too much variance here to even start the issue, any type of ordinance or whatever. We need to sit down amongst ourselves here and discuss this and get the truck drivers up here to give us their side of some of this and what they face too.
And
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Parker, would you add it to the Monday night workshop? In your motion,
I'm not gonna be here, but I mean, I would like to see this.
never mind.
I would like for this to go in front of the jury to work this out
Yeah,
instead of making a hasty decision here tonight.
yeah.
Second on the alternate motion that we postpone this to a workshop at a later date, 2025.
Question. So as of now, we got the ride underneath the old.
Oh, as of now, y'all are under this ordinance, everyone's gonna be charged a minimum of $100. Tonight was the 1 to 2 truck trips for free, so.
Okay.
If y'all want to postpone, that's why the special meeting's right after this to ratify this, so it can go into effect immediately.
I just can't see us charging the working man. And please vote now on the alternate motion.
Road committee.
Alternate motion passes. Item 2, authorize the president to sign a corporate endeavor agreement with the town of Logansport for road repairs on Carolyn and Balkins Drive, ARPA.
That's awful money. Can I say something?
Let me get a motion in a second first.
Okay.
So move.
Motion by Ms. Burrell,
Second.
second by Ms. Darnell. All right, now go ahead and discuss
I think
it.
that's a typo, that's Balkins Road.
Balkins Road, okay.
Drive.
And that's ARCLA money from you?
Yes.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Parker.
Question, I've read the agreement, CEA or whatever you want to call it. And the whereas on this agreement, the sixth one states, whereas both the police jury and town own, maintain portions of these roads. And do we own any portion of Barton Road or Carolyn Street or whatever it is?
We do.
Caroline Street?
We do. Town's got just a little bit, and Borkin Road goes back to where Dwight Gatlin lives back there, Bonner Road.
And it need.
Carolina Street is in the town. But that's ARPA money.
But we can't, according to what I just read here, if we don't own anything on that road, we can't do work on it. Says both the police jury and town own, maintain portions of these roads. If we don't own it, why do we maintain it?
We're not maintaining this ARPA money. That's the same thing we're doing everywhere
Still
else.
police jury money.
That's ARPA money. It's already been approved through the jury. I mean, like other
I
juries
don't know
taking
that the
their
police
ARPA
jury
money.
has the authority to spend the money on a road that we don't own or maintain on it.
We do with the vote of the jury.
Yep.
That's simple. I mean, I don't understand your problem with it, Mr.
Go
Keith.
ahead, vote the way you want to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not on the committee, but that's the same thing we're doing with your ARPA money, you spend it where you want it to.
I spend it on a road that the parish owned and maintained.
Well, one of these roads are, and the parish citizens are paying taxes over there also, and they drive these roads.
Well, you know, I hear this every time, Mr. Pitts. The people are paying taxes. We pay taxes for the state highways, but we don't maintain them. We don't work on the state highways.
I mean, I don't understand your reasoning, Mr. Pitts.
Any more questions?
I just wanna say, we did vote, use the opera money the way where we wanted to use it. And my problem is, where some of us might not have no people, but the people in the parish, in their district. Take me. I got people in, that's, halfway to Pelican. I got people in Grand Cane. I got people in Mansfield. And ain't none of my people no pardon to me than the other one. And if I can spend some money up in just the parish road where I got people where it's just the parish, just say like South Mansfield, I want to be able to spend my money on the people I got in Mansfield, or halfway to Pelican, or Grand Cane. All of them deserve the same. And I ain't got no problem with it, Mr. Mitchell, because that's your opera money. It's your money, do what you want.
Yeah, and Mr. Rowe, I'd like to say this. I mean, I understand your feeling on it, Mr. Keith. But back when we were doing the budget, my motion was this money to be expended by the juror in that district for any lawful expenditure. You can go back and look in the budget. That's exactly what I said. It is not against the law. The jury, we can spend our whole budget in the city of Mansfield if the jury votes to do it. We can spend our whole budget in Stonewall if we want to, if the jury votes to do it. It's not against the law. I mean, I really don't understand what your question is, because you spent your ARPA money on Mill Road, is that correct?
That's right. Infrastructure.
And I don't understand, Mr. Keith. Really don't.
I voted against every bit of it when we passed the budget.
I know
Mr.
you did.
Kennington and myself were the only two to vote against the budget for this year. And that was one of the reasons, is because of ARPA money. We cut everything out of the budget, and I said it then, we're cutting everything out of the budget, all the giveaways and stuff like that, but we're giving it to each juror to spend how they want to. It made it look like we were cutting the budget big time, but in reality, we weren't. But Mr. Parker voted for it at the end of the year. He voted for it to let every juror have their money, spend it how they wanted to. I voted against it. Mr. Kennington voted against it, because neither one of us were in agreement with that. But now I'm voting for it. I vote for every time they come in here and want to spend their money how they want it, because it's already been approved. And no one had any disagreement with it at that time, except these two. But I'm voting for every time it's ARPA money, let you spend it how you want to, because that's what was agreed upon at the end of the year. That's what it was budgeted for. It's in the budget to spend that away.
Any more discussion? Please vote now. Motion passes. Item 3, authorize the president to sign a corporate endeavor agreement with SWN Production LLC for road improvements on Cedar Hill Road. Whose district is that in?
Where's Cedar Hill Road?
Mr.
It's got a map here, but I couldn't tell anything by the map.
Off of Blunt Mill Road?
Do I have a motion?
Who put it on the agenda? So moved just to discuss it.
Motion by Mr. Arnell. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Parker. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Ms. Burrell.
Is this budgeted in the budget?
It's SWN Production LLC road improvements on Center Hill. I guess they're paying for it. Is that right, Mr. Norton?
Yes, sir. That's gonna be paid for by.
All companies paying for
All
it, Mr.
companies
All
are paying for
companies
this.
gonna
Yes,
pay
sir.
for it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We just have to have a CEA in order to
So
authorize
moved.
that. Yes, sir.
That's fine with me.
Any more discussion? Please vote now. Motion passed. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Arnell.
Mr. Rowe, I'd just like for each year to look in their packet where it says Boykins Drive and look on the map, it's Boykins Road.
Oh, okay.
That was me, I'm sorry.
Do I hear a second?
Adjourn?
Yeah. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed likewise. We adjourn.
Personnel Committee,
Personnel Committee called to order. Call for any additions and deletions to the agenda. Are there any guests or public comments? Personnel items, revise the organizational chart. I put that on there. Oh, wait, yeah. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second. Okay, all right. I put this on here because in the last meeting, we were trying to, do another, hire somebody for Mr. Norton for an assistant. So, to save the parish some money, if we put the treasurer and the secretary back under us, plus we need to start being more proactive in what's going on, with our jury, cause it's too much happening for me, and we don't know anything about it till we get in these meetings. Stuff being changed, and looking for us to just come in here and vote on it. We don't have the first clue. So to save money and create another salary, cause we have created this year quite a few of them in the last couple of years. 10 I can think of right up out the front door. I just think we need to put the secretary and the treasurer back under us, cause we need to start having more say-so as to what's going on with this jury. And that's just really how I feel about it, because I think we losing sight of what's really happening. I mean, we just had a discussion about the trucks and stuff, and all this stuff getting changed, and we not having no input on nothing. No, we not having no input on people getting hired and nothing no more. It's just free reins. And really, honestly, I'm just gonna be told nothing. I think we done gave Mr. Norton too much authority. And he losing sight on who the jury is. We was the elected officials, people entrusted us to take care of their business, but it seems like we ain't doing too much of taking care of the business. We allowing the parish administrator to take care of all our business. That's just not a good practice to me. We need to be on top of what's really happening with this jury.
My thoughts are a little bit different. You know, we hire, is there anything that the treasurer does or the secretary does that's outside the purview of day-to-day operations? And I would argue, no, that everything they do is part of day-to-day operations of the jury. And we all know that we're supposed to stay out of day-to-day operations as jurors. With that being said, the way it's set up now is we hire the administrator and then we approve, I believe if I remember it correctly, we approve the treasurer and the secretary, like if they leave and we had to hire a new one, you get to interview them, you and Ms. Shelton and whoever else in the party, and y'all bring the recommendation to us and we have to vote to ratify it, to make it happen.
As far as I know, that only applies to the treasurer, not the secretary.
Maybe. Like I said, we've discussed this a lot, so you know, it's easy to get confused on it. But the reason we simplified that is because we're going to hold one man accountable. It's much easier for us as 11 of us to hold one man accountable, and I believe Mr. Norton will attest that he doesn't do everything the way I would do it, and I let him know occasionally in the right manner. But I still have faith in him to run the jury. And if there's something that goes too egregious that I just can't live with, or that I think is outside of the realm of the job that he's supposed to do, then I'm going to bring it to this room. But I think we'd be making a huge mistake by making Miss Lily or Miss Jody answer to 11 of us. That'd be a disaster for them. I mean, I can only imagine the headache now. We all call them anyway for stuff, and we're a headache to them sometimes. But I'll be honest, I've never asked either one of them for anything and them give me feedback of, I'm not going to give you that. Matter of fact, they're usually pretty quick with it. And if there ever is an issue, it's pretty easily resolved by just asking Mr. Norton to give it to me. And so I just want to make the point that I like the way it's set up now, that everybody reports to Mr. Norton. Mr. Norton reports to us. I think it's cleaner for us. It keeps us out of trouble. If we don't like the way Mr. Norton's doing his job, then it's our job to tell him we want it done differently.
I'm not on your committee, but the parish treasurer, when a new jury comes on, whether we have an election this year or next year, when a new jury comes on, we have to vote, we have to approve. Her term ends when a new jury comes on. So actually, the treasurer is under the direction of the jury. We have to approve her. Mr. Ernell, you know what I'm talking about.
Right, this be,
New jury.
yeah, that's been way back.
Yeah.
This has happened. When I got on the jury, it was operating that way.
Her job is to
And we
work
operated for many
her
years
job is
like
to
that.
work with the administrator for say. She is a standalone, actually, by Louisiana law.
Right.
Not really, not really. The organization choice she comes upon
Yeah, by the law.
Mr. North. And as far as day-to-day operations, some of us don't need to say that, cause some of us, I can think of some incidents where they been involved in day-to-day operations.
Who, Mr. Brown?
Mr. Kennedy for one.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I can call some times where I was told everything I asked for, do or whatever, it's got to come through Mr. Norton, and that shouldn't be. If I call and say, look, I want to put this on the agenda, I shouldn't have to have Mr. Norton's approval to put something on the agenda. If I call and ask one of the employees, look, can you make some copies of this and send a copy to each jury, I shouldn't have to go through Mr. Norton to do that. And that ain't getting involved in day-to-day operation. That's doing what I'm asking the employee to do. I mean, it's just something I don't feel like I should have to go through Mr. Norton to take care of. And if I call Jody and said, Miss Jody, I'd like to have such and such placed on the agenda, please. Can you call Mr. Baker and let him know, or can you call whoever the chairman is and let them know? I shouldn't have to go through Mr. Norton to get that done. The secretary or any of these employees, if we ask them or something, and Mr. Kenton might not have a problem, but some of us do have a problem with it. I even been asked for us to be told where we was told not to share information with you and Reggie Rowe. I done heard that on several occasions.
What'd you hear? Repeat that?
I've been told several times that don't share no information with Ms. Burrell and Mr. Rowe. I done heard that 3-4 times, really honest. I just try to let it go and don't say nothing, but when you call my hand, I got to put it out there for what it is. So, yes. I mean, there was one time, Mr. Mitchell, that you felt like we should have some say-so in employment and who get hired. at least let me be a part of it. If we have something, and it ain't got to be getting no day-to-day operation, but I want to know who we hire. I don't want to wait till you come in here with some names to my, well, we recommend we hire this person. Because that might not be the most qualified person to me. I want to know who we hiring. But we given that authority to Mr. Norton. And I mean, that's fine with me if that's what y'all want to do, but I like to have say-so for speaking for my constituents. I would.
I mean, Ms. Burrell, we hired Mr. Norton to do that type of job, put things on the agenda. We have to make sure it's lawful and all the 9 yards. The hiring, he get with Ms. Amy for guidance on the hiring. That's to keep us out of it. Mr. Norton is pretty much what I like to say is all buffer. At the end of the day, they got to go through the administrator anyway to see, not for his approval, but he bring it to us and we approve everything. Everything's on the book.
I still say.
Just like the truck deal she brought up, it was brought before us.
Right.
We had a big discussion on it tonight. We voted to postpone it until we can gather some more information.
y'all need to
So
start
there's nothing that's gotten
postponing
passed that I know of
We need
that
to
didn't
start-
go before us.
Right.
And as far as Mr. Norton, we did. We put him in charge. We put him in charge to do this, and he answers to us. We have a problem with him. We have a problem with him. The way he runs things, and we need to take it up with him.
Can I
And,
say a few things, please?
it-
I'm gonna read from my job description specifically. This is what y'all hired me in the job I interviewed for.
It's
Under
something
duties and
she said.
responsibility is the responsibility of the administrator for the overall direction, coordination, and evaluation of all departments. He ensures proper public relations by following up with all departments to ensure the public services are efficiently provided and that all complaints, concerns, and public contacts are effectively handled. He creates and manages the succession planning for key positions within the organization, and he's responsible for planning, development, coordinating of various projects and for the implementation and fulfillment of contractual provisions. He is to provide oversight and management of construction projects and keep track of spending to ensure budgets and to maintain within this project scope. It's just me, but that y'all hired me to oversee these departments, all of them. Y'all hired me this is why I go to the road department a couple times a week to discuss with those two men right there what projects they're currently working on, if there's anything I need to inform the jury about. Most of the time, and I appreciate this of the jurors, y'all call them saying, look, I need you to look at this culvert, I need you to deal with these things. I have never once told any of my department heads or any of my employees, do not call or tell a juror. What I have told them very specifically, and including, you can read it in the minutes of my last department head report, I have told them, and I'm going to read from the minutes from May 5th, 2023. Department superintendent's discussions with jurors. If a juror calls you, make sure to keep Mr. Norton in the loop. Examples, roads, housing, dog bites, attacks, guinea fowls, and chickens. I can't effectively run this place for y'all if I'm not kept in the loop of what's going on. I've never told him, don't call Reggie Rowe. I've said, don't call Reggie first. Call me. If it's something that we can deal with internally, I will deal with it. Don't call Ernell, don't call Ms. Burrell. If it's something that we can deal with internally, don't involve a juror in day-to-day operations. That's what they hired me to do. Those are the conversations that I've had with my employees. Now, if an employee is calling y'all and not informing me, then I've been told, you need to handle that. There's a chain of command. Y'all hired me in that chain of command. And I work at the pleasure of the jury. I'll do what y'all ask, but if one juror calls me and says, I want you to do this, and it's something that's potentially controversial, I'm gonna bring it to y'all. I'm gonna report it in my administrator's report. I'm gonna do the best job that I can. And I told y'all, if y'all remember me, what I told y'all in my interview, I fear God first, I fear my wife second, and I fear y'all as a respect, because y'all are my bosses, and that's the way I live. I will do my job to the best of my ability to honor y'all as the jurors, but I'm not gonna do anything illegal, and I'm not gonna hold anything, and I'm not gonna get involved in any political issues between jurors. I have to be impartial and run this jury as appropriate and as best I can for y'all. So I am sorry, Ms. Burrell, if some employees have told you that. That is not what I told them. I don't know how things like that gets mixed up. The biggest issue that we have at the jury is communication. That's why I go out and I engage my department heads. I really genuinely try to deal with those issues before you have to hear about them. Sometimes I'm unsuccessful with that. But if I don't know if there's an issue, I can't deal with it. Sometimes, many times, you've told me yourself, the street committee says, this is what's going on. That's news to me, because I'm not in the loop. I do my best to keep in the loop. I'm sorry, Mr. Fuller.
Are you good? You good, Mr.? Now, I agree with certain parts you said. For instance, like I said, you must forget, we work for the constituents.
Yes, sir.
So we have to answer to them. Like if they, if the old workers, guess who they are? Constituents. Guess who they are? Our bosses. So we have to answer to them as well. If they bring an issue to us, we have an obligation, we have a responsibility and a duty as well. And like I said, I'm not saying, like I say, you look at some of these jobs, like that people, you want people to be afraid to come and talk to us. They shouldn't be afraid to come and talk to us, because at the end of the day, they're our bosses. And see, that's what a lot of politicians have forgotten, that we work for the constituents.
I agree with that.
And we work for my main thing is, like I say, if we when I came on, the secretary, the treasurer, they were up under the police jury. Like Mr. Mitchell said, we voted, then we gave them a 2-year, was the treasurer, secretary the same way, the 2 year?
I think the treasurer's determined.
The treasurer was determining.
Of the jurors.
And like I say, even though it may have passed, your job description may have passed, don't mean all of us voted for it.
Yep.
Don't mean all of us agree with it. And so my thing, like I say, I want to be treated with respect. As a juror, I'll come to you with respect, and I want the same back.
Yes,
but
sir.
at the end of the day, I work for the constituents too. Those employees, us telling the employees, y'all can't talk to the juror. No. Talk to me, because I work for you. It's a double thing. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I work for them and they work for us. So, but like I say, I'm not trying to get into day-to-day affairs. I'm not trying to get in, but like I say, like Mr. Barrera said, the street committee. It's a lot of stuff. People ask us, community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm like a deer in the headlight.
Yes,
I have
sir.
no idea. You have things that caught on fire. You have accidents that have happened. The people on the street tell us before we know about it. That doesn't look good as a juror. So y'all not jurors. That does not look good to our constituents if we don't know what's going on. I'm not trying to get into the data there, but I want to know the important things that we need to know about what's going on as a juror. That's me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
First off, I'd like to know how taking the parish treasurer and the parish secretary out from under the parish administrator is gonna help us know anything else that's going on out here.
I'm gonna
I'd
have
just
to
like to
ask
know
that.
that.
I would like to ask
Second,
that
I'd like
question.
to know how it's gonna save us money. Ms. Burrell brought this up, and in bringing it up, she said that it would save us money. How is taking these two people out from under the parish administrator gonna save us any money?
It'll
see
keep
that
us
it's
from,
gonna save
it'll
us any
keep us
money.
from creating another, position.
That's gonna keep from creating another position?
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
Because that'll relieve him of some of the responsibility that he's saying he's so overwhelmed. Now, that should relieve him of some of those responsibilities. If we put the parish treasurer and the secretary back up under us, that ought to relieve him of some of his,
It'll relieve him of all of his duties if we take everybody out from under.
now, I didn't say take
And-
everybody.
and secondly, I
said
don't
the
really like
parish
to see
treasurer and the secretary.
I don't want to have employees around here not being able to answer to someone that's here on a daily basis. So they're going to answer to 11 people rather than one person.
Because really, honestly, I remember
know?
when when you interviewed, one of your main thing, I'm not going to cater to certain jurors. That's not true, because you do cater to certain jurors. And one of them talking right now.
No, what I said was, I mean, it takes 6 votes, 6 jurors to, I mean, of course, if a juror calls me and says, hey, we need to work on this project, we look at it, yeah, well, I put it before the jury. It's my job to put everything before the people, not just one juror. If it's something that it needs to go before the jury, we do that. But I wanted to address the issue that you brought up about the parish secretary. Jody calls me as a courtesy. She says, hey, this is on the agenda. I said, contact the president, contact the department head, or not the department head, the chairperson. That's all. I have never told her, do not put that on there, period. I always say, you contact the president. I did that for Mr. Ernell when he was president. I did that for Mr. Rove during my first 2 months here, and I've done that consistently with Mr. Ross, because your bylaws say the president sets the agenda. So,
I mean, I can call you Mr. North.
The agenda's yours if you put something on the agenda, Mr. Fuller.
And the president say we got to move on.
Okay, Mr. President.
I call for
You,
question.
you, I hope you want to be president next time.
I call the question.
I was the one,
I mean, go ahead, Mr. Brown, but we need to.
no, I didn't say,
Oh, I
I
thought
was
you had
wondering
something to
what
say.
was the question, did we get to a question?
Yeah.
Another 4-hour meeting.
Hey,
This is personal.
but we're not getting anywhere. It's all about productivity.
Well, we supposed to discuss, Mr. President. If there's no more questions, Mayor, please vote.
We're voting to revise this.
Circus only has one ringmaster. A lot of clowns.
Motion failed. Motion to adjourn.
Solid Waste Committee.
I call the Solid Waste Committee to order. I'll call and ask for any additions or deletions to the agenda. Hearing none, is there any guest or public comments? Hearing none, the solid waste item, to amend the solid waste budget to purchase 30-yard open-top containers in the amount of $75,000. That is a total of 10 containers. A motion by Mr. Fuller, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Jimmy Jones. Jimmy Holmes.
Jimmy Jones.
I'm mixing them all together.
I do know it's Jimmy Jones.
Me and you, man.
These are the containers that are at the compactor sites where people put their loose trash into.
Okay, I got you.
They're a little bit bigger size than what we have been using, hopefully to
Yeah, we need some more.
trips.
Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
The ones that we have that the public gets, are these the same ones?
I don't know if
Oh,
we'll
no.
use these so much for the public when we deliver them to the public. These would be mostly used at the compactor sites. But to answer your next question, it will make containers a little more available.
Okay, so, are these, I guess my question, are these larger than those?
These are a little bit
These are
larger
larger.
than those. They'll be about a foot and a half taller than the containers that we're using now.
Yes, we got our ace.
And
Question.
No.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
go ahead.
No, how many will go to the site?
That's my question.
Well, we're buying 10, so, you know, there'll be, I don't know which ones are
So
going.
how you
where.
gonna
I mean-
determine what site?
Well, they'll go to the sites that have the highest volume, more than likely.
Easy sight.
Yes, Mr. Tingley?
That would be, South Mansfield has a large
Yeah.
volume.
It's one of them.
So
Yes.
that's what,
Yes,
that was my
Some are going
question.
to South Mansfield, some are going to Stonewall, where the rest of them go,
Okay,
where they end up. So
Yeah,
we're gonna
I
try
have a
these larger containers to see if they work out a little bit better. Yes,
Would
Mr.
it be hard for the public to put, I mean, you say they're taller?
They're gonna be a little harder to put stuff in them, yes, sir. So,
I mean,
the
would they
guy,
be
the guys,
creating a
who-
liability for us?
no, because we have workers on site.
They don't help people.
What?
it don't-
They just
do the,
oversee to make sure it's
they do
clean?
The one up front, the one they push the button to go in.
Not the bigger
Oh,
ones
not
on
the
the
bigger one,
side,
yeah.
okay.
So I just don't want us to be creating a liability,
Okay.
you know, for the people that are trying to put those
say something,
things,
Mr.
they're that much taller.
Hopefully it won't. I can't answer any other way.
Well, most of the time that if someone's putting some in these dumpsters, I mean, they coming in with, they had to load on their truck. It was heavy from home. See what I'm saying?
Okay.
And the household traffic, it needs to be in the compactor anyway.
Yeah, I
If
agree
it's just
with
a
that.
regular, individual.
I understand that part, but my thing, like, with the height going up, because, you know, I've used them before myself. So like I say, it depends on what a person coming now, you driving, if they have it on a trailer, it's already kind of up in the air, but it depends on what they're bringing it in on, so.
Right, but if they can load it from their house and put it on truck or trailer, I'm quite sure they can load it and put it in a dumpster.
I just, you know, gotta look out and make sure we know liabilities.
How
Yeah.
many dumpsters? How many compacts?
Any other questions?
We got- we got
Y'all
22.
please vote now. Motion passes. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Community service and development.
Call to order, call for addition or deletion to the agenda. And guess the public comments on community service. All right, if none, item D, item 1, authorize the DeSoto Parish, authorize the DeSoto Parish Office of Community Service to submit a request for proposal for Caddo Parish weatherization and amend the budget in the amount of $711,000, $574,000 with at 100% reimbursement.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Rowe.
For discussion.
I second to discuss it,
Second.
so. Moved and second, any other questions?
This is 100% reimbursement, so we really out nothing. It's an in and out.
Mr. Norton, can you explain what's going on?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna ask Gladys to come up to give you a little more information on this, but the 100% reimbursement, it's not gonna be 100% reimbursement, because if we do the weatherization for Caddo, eventually you will get to that, but you have to put seed money into it, you have to get an office, the jury's gonna have to put some money up, you're gonna have to hire new employees. Again, Ms. Gladys can give you more information, but the 100% reimbursement is down the road, okay? We have to amend the budget to bid on this weatherization. So you have to have the money put up front, essentially. You know, it's no different when you're bidding on a project and advertising a project. You have to fund it.
Where's the
So-
money coming from, out of general fund?
It'll be coming out of the general fund, yes, sir. But eventually, we will get to 100% reimbursement, with the exception of if there's any additional accounting that has to be done by our department, which, just to put this into perspective, I think it was, you told me we did 7 weatherization houses, Michelle, last year?
Can she come up and explain
Yeah,
so the
yeah.
public will know what's going on too, please?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Why doesn't Caddo Parish do it themselves?
Well, they'll tell you what happened.
There we go again.
I brought Michelle up with me because she can give y'all more details about the program. But Caddo Parish no longer has their weatherization program. They lost it. They did do a request for proposal for all of the parishes that they did have, also Terrebonne, but someone got those parishes already, so Caddo's left out there in New England by itself. So I got a call from Lauren Holmes the week of I think June 25th, strongly suggesting that we apply for this program. It's just hard. Caddo is a big parish, and that's one of the issues, I think. And so with adding Caddo with us, it's gonna put on more manpower and a lot more responsibilities.
So Caddo Parish will reap most of the benefits?
They will reap getting the repairs done to the homes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Mr. Mitchell.
Go ahead, you go first. I was just gonna ask, why would we do it?
It's what we do already.
I mean, we already serve 10 parishes. For the parish, we serve 10 parishes already.
But we just said it's gonna take some money from us, right? And it's
Initially,
gonna,
yes.
and you just said it was gonna take a lot of
Upfront.
manpower.
It's all,
Are we looking for headaches? I mean,
We
I
already
was
have
unaware we had extra money and extra people and extra manpower. I thought we were shorthanded and underpaid and overworked.
well,
I'm just
with-
curious as to why we're asking for more.
With gaining their parish comes with their budget, and if you need the manpower to do that parish, you hire who you need to get the job done.
Through their budget.
And they have an allocated budget that comes by taking over their parish.
So do we?
I can see we're gonna put up all
Oh,
this
Mr.
money
Roberts,
and not
excuse-
get
Mr.
nothing.
Mitchell.
No, that's not the case.
Why did Caddo Parish get out of it?
They had compliance issues. It was taken away by the state.
And you don't think we ain't gonna have no compliance issues?
We're in good standing.
We're in good standings with the parishes that we're doing
With
already.
Biden when he got elected.
I see you, Mr. Mitchell, go ahead.
What's the lady?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Mr. Rowe?
He's trashing Biden.
Be over there.
Yeah, Ms. Gladys.
Yes.
I guess the question I got, how is that gonna help DeSoto Parish? How does that help us? It's giving y'all a workload above what you already have. You already have 10 parishes aboard. You got to explain to me, how is that gonna help DeSoto Parish? That doesn't give us any more funding, year in and or year out. Does that give us any more funding by doing them? We only get so much. Is that gonna be a bonus in our, are y'all that eager to?
No, I would say this, we just want to help the state of Louisiana as a whole.
Well, I
With that
understand
being the
that.
only parish out there left and they need
Right.
someone
Our
to
neighbor.
assist with that, because we already do 10, and of course, that would add another one, yes. We do have issues within our program, as, it's, I hate to say it's a natural thing, but it is.
Well, that's everybody's-
But just adding, helping out our neighboring parish as well. And it will add to our administrative, budget, so they will help the administrative part.
Would help y'all administrative people make more money.
Yes.
Yeah, I realize that, yeah. And, you know, that's what it's all about in the job. I understand why y'all doing that.
Who
That's all.
got this committee?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was Bossier approach to take that on?
Bossier's under us.
We cover
Bossier's
Bossier
under
You
Parish.
take, I'm sorry?
We have Bossier.
There's a map
I have
on your
both.
screen
Yeah, I see it on
that
the
shows
screen.
everything that we
All
cover.
of
That's
y'all
what we
is
do.
us.
That's what we
Yes.
cover that.
Yeah, we cover Bossier Parish.
Okay.
So, yeah, we, Caddo a big parish. If we take on Caddo,
You have to hire more people?
Yes.
Yes, we would have to.
But would the money come out of Caddo's budget?
It would,
That's what they wanna know.
We inherit their
the
budget.
So it's not gonna come from us. We inherit that budget, and the money to pay those individuals is gonna come from the monies that you inherit.
yes.
Yeah, weatherization is a reimbursement program. Every expense that weatherization has, it's submitted for reimbursement to get the police jury reimbursed.
So is
We
this
have
the,
to put up the 711,000 to get it started.
that's what I'm,
And
Right.
then we will get the 711,000 back over time.
Yes.
What timeframe? I didn't mean to butt in, Mr. Moore.
Nope,
that's what I'm
nobody.
saying.
Mr. Norton said not all of it.
Yeah,
No, not all
you
of
have
it,
to, you have to put seed money up, and, I mean, if you amend the budget this year, there's no guarantee you're gonna get any money this year. And you may not get all of it, I mean, until you get up to a certain point. You will get to a certain point where they are getting a 100% reimbursement. But you have to hire new employees, you're gonna have to open an office, a remote office in Caddo Parish.
More money.
So there's some upfront expenses that's why I asked Gladys and Michelle to give us what's the estimated amendment to the budget for this year that we need to put in there to bid on this project.
That, excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Mitchell.
I don't want to butt in front of anybody.
Oh, you good?
So that's what you're asking for. You're asking us for this, startup money, $700,000.
We're asking for permission to submit a proposal to bid for Caddo Parish.
Yeah,
And
but-
to amend the budget.
But when we submit that, you're saying that, but still we're a guarantor of this money until we get reimbursed. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
expenses are submitted for
Yeah.
reimbursement.
Yes.
We have to put all this money up
Mr.
front,
Holmes. Mr.
right
Holmes.
away?
Mr. Kenny had anything.
Go ahead.
I mean, you're not giving money to anyone,
I
you're just
understand.
authorizing for us to submit the proposal.
Do we currently handle our, the other parishes? Do we have any issues with completing the work?
We just finished our program year June 30th, and we completed actually an extra house. We finished and had one extra that we did.
How many of y'all did in DeSoto Parish?
6.
Budget for
6.
Oh, Mr.
Did Mr. Holmes go?
Peterson.
How is it that Kettle Parish, all of those parishes that we serve, they're lumped together? How did Kettle Parish get out of that, get out of the loop?
Well, Caddo served Caddo, Lincoln, and Rapides Parish just through years of the weatherization program. Now it seems like it's merged into a nice, making sense map. Used to, it was all over the map. And, I mean, it doesn't make sense that Caddo did Caddo, Lincoln, and Rapides. That's just how it played out over the years.
I have a question. When is the bid, when is the deadline, or is there a deadline on when it needs to be, what are we gonna bid on? When is that?
The 17th.
July 17th.
Hmm?
July 17th.
Who you bidding against? Who you bidding against?
Nobody.
The program is required to be run by a nonprofit, and in the state of Louisiana, they utilize the community action agencies. And as of now, there are only 4 community action agencies in the state that provide services for all 64 parishes.
Mr. Mitchell?
Okay. How many of these parishes did you serve out of DeSoto office? DeSoto, Sabine, Natchez, and Red River? So
Sorry, say that again?
What other parishes do y'all have satellite offices in? None?
We don't have any satellite
Oh,
offices
y'all
at the
just
time.
have-
We used to in Bossier, but we're centralized here in Mansfield now.
So y'all just have workers in each of these parishes, and they get their work orders by phone, email, or something like that?
All of our workers
We
are
have
here in
an
DeSoto
in-house
Parish,
crew in
and they
Mansfield.
travel.
They travel?
Yes, sir.
Morehouse, that's a long way.
Yes, sir.
They usually would stay in Morehouse for
Stay-
4 days. They would
Stay-
stay up there to finish out the houses.
Did they stay in motels?
Yes, sir.
or-
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Boyd?
So on an average, how many houses in each of the parishes that are in red? I know you said DeSoto was 6. Roughly, have you completed? Is that,
We finished all 79 houses this year with one extra that we did.
so when you saying weatherization, that's like the weather strip? I'm thinking in my head,
It makes homes
windows
energy
and-
efficient. It concentrates on attic or wall insulation, reducing air infiltration. We also focus on health and safety of different appliances. It can be a various array of things.
So individuals have to qualify for
Yes.
this?
It's first based on household income,
Okay.
and then it's based on the house must pass an inspection that the house qualifies for the program.
Okay, so my last question is that, from what I'm understanding, Caddo is sitting out there and with no help as far as with this weatherization program. And DeSoto Parish is trying to step up to bring them in, is
Yes, ma'am.
from what I'm understanding, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Miss Lily, do we get reimbursed for their salaries
Yes, sir, we do.
and their taxes, their 401K,
Everything,
their
yes,
retirement,
it's
everything?
100%. It's just, it lags behind about 2 months. One of the things I would like to point out is there's no allocation for the accounting department, and this year alone, we have spent quite a bit of my time, my assistant treasurer time, trying to get, their year end. There's been a couple findings on just how stuff has been done in the past that we're trying to correct and move forward. So this really, I mean, if y'all decide to vote for it, I have asked Gladys that they probably will need to have an actual accountant in that, within their department to handle a lot of the stuff that we're handling right now in the accounting department side. Because it's a lot.
So their facility cost is fully expensed?
Yes, they break it, as far as the utilities and all that, it's broken down into all their different other programs that they have. They have HUD, they have like HEAP, so there's an allocation for the utilities and the building portion of that.
Health insurance covered by them?
Yes.
Are reimbursed to us, I guess?
Yes, yes.
All fringe benefits.
So the only expense to us is the seed money that we get back, and then wearing you and your office out, basically.
Correct.
If we hire an accountant, will that be expense too?
Yes, that will get reimbursed 100% of that, and I think me and Gladys have discussed putting an allocation for my salary and April's salary too, to cover the work that we're actually doing. Even with them having an accountant, checks and everything still has to go through the finance department here. But like right now, Miss Gladys' salary, they paid a portion of it, and it's dispersed through all the different programs. So it would be the same thing, additional that we can qualify. I did talk to the lady that comes from the state that does the audit, and she's like, I don't understand why you're not putting an allocation for your salary stuff, because there could be a percentage based on how many hours we're spending on doing the books for that department.
I could answer that question. I can tell you why, because the jury, from my knowledge, what we've been doing in the past, when Melissa and Linda and them would do the work, they would not submit it because it's extra work to submit those reimbursements. And that's a very cumbersome process going through the reimbursement process. But that's a change that we're making when we're going to be allocating portions of their salaries to get reimbursed because they're doing an enormous amount of work. And this will add on that. But if we get an accountant hired, that should take away from, Lily and April having to do all that work.
That's me.
Okay. We still ain't got a dollar amount. It's $711,000 to do Caddo Parish, I'm gonna say for 1 year. Is that right? If we were already doing Caddo Parish, their portion of the budget would be $711,000.
Until we submit our proposal, we don't know the exact number. The state told us to use Caddo Parish budget as 75% of our current budget for our current 10 parishes. So that's where that's the only number we could come up with, was the state told us to use 75%. One parish, Caddo, is 75% of our total 10 parishes.
Well, Caddo's that big, there's 300,000
Yes, they
people
had,
on
there's
Caddo
this
Parish.
past program year, their unit allocation only was 62 units, where for 10 parishes, we were allocated 79.
Okay. How much money do you actually need? How much money do you actually need from this parish if y'all get the contract?
Like I said, weatherization is reimbursable for every expense that's made on these units. It's submitted to you guys to the state for
I
reimbursement.
know that.
You know that.
But I need to know how much money you need to have to work with.
We only work within the budget that's given to us by the state.
I think the
I need a dollar amount.
It's estimated to-
$711,000 from DeSoto Parish?
That's the estimate, yes, sir, to do the bid.
So we need to put $711,000 into a bank account so they can do the bid?
You have to allocate it in our budget, yes, sir, to do the bid.
Well, that means I need to go
Yes, sir.
put it in a bank account.
Yes, sir.
Just a different way of saying it. But we're gonna get that back.
Man,
With the
Yeah,
exception
well,
of the
yeah.
work that the
No,
lady
I
said.
I don't mind
Yes,
helping
sir.
Cattle Parish.
Yes, sir.
But I ain't spending a penny in Cattle Parish.
That's why I wanted to make sure y'all understood. While the program is 100% reimbursable, there are not gonna be, there are gonna be expenses that are not reimbursable until those changes
Until
are
we
made.
submit
Well,
for
well,
reimbursement.
well, first off, you gotta tie up $750,000.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's my thing. How is it benefiting us as a parish?
I don't see, I just don't see the benefit, because I don't really know. I know once the program gets running, okay, then it's not costing us anything. I understand that, okay? But I don't see why DeSoto Parish needs to tie up $750,000 for a year. When we can use $750,000, you know, this jury can spend $750,000 here in about 15 minutes
Right.
on projects that we all deem that we need to do. And I love it. I don't have a problem at all with Cattle Parish. I was raised in Cattle Parish. Why I don't have very good vocabulary. And I don't mind helping them, but I don't see where it should tie or that amount of money. Now, $100,000, I might be willing to listen to tying up $100,000 for until we get things rolling along. But I'm not on the committee, so it's ever how the committee votes. But I can't see. That's a bunch of money.
Mr. Jones, on there.
One last question. What happened if we don't submit the bid? That couple that bring in that organization you mentioned?
Whoever else submit one will possibly get it, you know.
I
We
mean,
don't know.
it has to be a nonprofit.
Ms. On?
Well, first off, we're bidding on it, so we don't have to bid the 711,000. We could bid less than that, right?
But here's the problem, I'm not bidding any amount of money. I'm submitting our credentials saying
We can do
that
it.
we could do the weatherization program. I'm
Okay.
not putting a dollar amount out to anyone.
I understand
I
that.
just inherit their budget.
And second, I would like to know is how did we get the other 9 parishes or so? Did we put up money as we got those parishes also?
I've been a police jury employee for 17 years. We've just inherited, the parishes have interchanged my whole weatherization career. I used to work at another agency, and I provided services for St. Bernard, Point Capee, I mean, way down in the Gulf. It's just how it's worked.
So we did not put money up for the other 9 parishes that we're taking care of.
It's been 10
Yes.
parishes as long as I've been here.
As long as I've been
I
here.
was gonna say, when I first did stuff a long time ago, probably
Yeah,
was
as long as
20
I've
years
been here.
ago, I thought it was the 10 parishes. I don't know how it came to be.
Mr. Baker?
Okay, I don't really know if I understand this yet. And I'm sorry if I'm frustrating y'all, because I'm frustrated. You're gonna bid on the work off of your credentials and our past history and the good job that y'all have done. And so, and then you say we will inherit their budget. Is there money in their budget?
Each parish is allocated a budget. The
Okay,
state allocates a budget for every parish.
So when you receive the job, if you win the bid, you receive their budget
Yes,
that has money in it?
yes.
Okay, so then, why do you need $711,000? Why is that number even up there?
My understanding is you guys have to amend a budget to authorize.
You have to have
Could it-
upfront payment.
Okay,
But it
okay,
came
so
up with 700.
what you basically then, what we're basically saying is that we have to be willing to obligate ourselves for that amount of money. It's not really so much that we have got to tie the money up. because when you receive the contract, you're gonna receive some money.
I'm gonna receive the opportunity to weatherize houses by spending that money.
By spending that money. So what we got to do is be able to give you money to weatherize that house, and then you turn in a bill and get refunded?
Correct, that's
Yes.
what we
So
do
we
now,
have to put up the upfront money.
Yes.
to be reimbursed. Yes.
Okay, but it could take you 6, 8, up to a year to finish out Cattle Parish for a 1-year period.
But you get I submit a
You get-
monthly report.
And you do that monthly?
Yes, sir.
So really and truly, after about the first month, you are receiving funds.
Yes, sir.
And those funds will allow you to do the next house.
It pays for what I already spent.
It pays for what you already spent, so now you have money that you can spend on another house.
When do we get ours back?
Well, in essence, you're paying us back,
Basically,
okay?
yes.
So,
By
long
following-
story short,
By following the
You don't
budget, the
need-
guidelines.
you don't need, if it takes 711,000, I'm sorry if I sound stupid.
It's okay.
If it takes $711,000 to do 69 houses, okay, because you said that's about the number. Okay, so it takes $100,000 a house, roughly. 110,000 a house. If you got 70 houses, it's
10,000.
10,000, I'm sorry, see, I told you
I
I'm
would
crazy.
say,
Like
man.
your
because
math.
Really,
If you're paying me.
It takes $10,000 a house.
come to
right?
my house.
Okay. So I don't see why we have to tie up the full $711,000 because you're not going to finish 70 houses at once.
But that's what a budget is. Like my current budget, I have not
You
spent
just
near
need a
that money.
budget number. You don't really even need the money until you get started.
Correct.
You just need enough to do the
You
first
guys have to
house.
authorize us to submit the proposal. In order to do that, you have to
It's-
authorize and amend the
budget
budget.
amount.
It's the same principle as what we have to do on the roof for the 4-H building.
Right.
It's basically the same thing we do every year at the beginning of the year. You submit your budget.
Yes, sir.
And we just
Yes,
gonna prove that.
And we approve it.
Yes, sir.
And we say we have allocated that much money for your budget.
Which the state gives us, yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Which we get reimbursed
And
for.
we get reimbursed for
On a
it.
monthly basis,
It's the
yes,
same
sir.
thing we do every
It's just a number
December.
scaring me to death. It's just-
Every December, we allocate money to their budget. And then they reimburse us as they spend it. They take it out and then reimburse it.
So we're not really going to,
You're not writing a check to anyone.
We're tying it up, but we're not spending it.
We're tying it up.
And you're gonna spend it, for 30 or 60 days or whatever.
and y'all
Part-
look
part
at
of
the
that.
budget chair, so. Okay.
My question is, and I'm sorry to have another question, because I'm not on the committee either, but if these people are gonna be DeSoto Parish employees, right?
DeSoto Parish Public Security employees, yes.
So if they're driving down Line Avenue and they hit somebody, DeSoto Parish gets put in a lawsuit, correct?
There you
If,
go.
if somebody is working in a house on Arizona Street up by Independence Stadium and they get killed inside the house, that claim's gonna go against us. If we hire 5 employees up there and they all have heart attacks from working in these hot houses in the heat, that makes our health insurance for our whole group go up.
But you get reimbursed for it.
We doing that now.
Doesn't work that way.
But, yeah.
It doesn't work that way. We get reimbursed for that employee's health insurance, but we don't get reimbursed for every other employee's increase in their health policy.
We haven't.
I'm just trying to point out that the upside is you're helping other people in another parish, which is a great thing to do, and I totally believe in it. The downside is we're risking stuff that DeSoto Parish residents pay for by doing that. And it's a harsh reality of That's what's at stake. We're tying up DeSoto Parish taxpayers' money, and we're risking all the unmerited liability is on us. Nothing falls on Caddo Parish.
Okay, but remember, this is a federal grant as well.
Doesn't matter. They don't pay our insurance. They don't cover our liabilities.
But I reimburse you for your cost of your insurance.
Just that employee. But if somebody if somebody has a heart attack in a house and just say they die, and our health insurance, who is it, Miss Jerry? Is it Humana? United Healthcare. United Healthcare has to pay all those claims for that person. So the next year, whenever Mr. Parker, I think you're over health insurance, right?
Right now, I am.
So when he brings us back a proposal for the next year's insurance, we're now risk rated with that extra claim on there. I'm just saying, we do lose. We have the potential to lose. There's a lot of liability there for us. And the car,
Having DeSoto Parish now?
it is, but we're here to serve our people. You're gonna have risk in everything you do, but why would you go ask for more risk?
Mr. O'Neill.
But Mr. Kennedy, that liability, especially with them traveling, you know, what was the farthest parish over on the west side? Morehouse. They traveling, they living here, they go to Morehouse, Natchitoches. It's the same liability. You go over there and wreck someone, we're still liable. So, I mean, I'm not saying.
And I'd vote to revoke that too.
Ms. Bond, go ahead. Where you two?
That was mine.
Where you two?
Yeah, it's the same, yeah, and I just wanna make the point, it's the same liability, you know, we, 10 parishes, we'll take on 11 parishes, it's the same liability. But, I'm not saying I'm for it or whatever, I don't know, I'm through.
No, I just want to say, like say, I'm not saying I'm for it, I'm not saying I'm always against it either. But like say, you know, if it's not, I can see the jury's point, if it's not benefiting us, why take on that extra burden? And like I say, if, you know, if it's tying up our money that can be used in our area, going to another I know, like, so we are doing the others. We're already doing that, I understand that. So that's my concern, I just want to make sure all the jurors, like I say, you know, they see it as, is it really helping us, or, I mean, is it gonna put an extra burden on us? Cause like with the insurance, I'm not worried about that, cause our employees go to Caddo and pick up the, asphalt, so we in Caddo all the time. Our employees drive the cars outside of DeSoto Parish in the Caddo in different places, so, you know, we have that already. So that's my concern is, you know, is it really benefiting us? I know it will help the citizens in Caddo Parish, but if we don't get it, somebody else gonna get it, is that correct?
If they're qualified, yes, sir.
So, but, I mean, like say, well, like say, you know, we already, I don't have a problem with it, you know, in a way, but like I say, I just don't want our people to hurt behind. And how many, somebody share with me, how many applications we have versus what Caddo has?
I don't have record of their applications for Caddo.
But then you share with me, Ms. Gladys, or Mr.
They talk about units.
In the,
they do.
I think they get like, is it 1,000?
Are you asking how many houses they were authorized for last
Or
year?
how many applications they
How
applied?
many houses they did last year
Oh, they
compared
did
to us.
last year, I'm sorry.
69, I thought.
Oh, it was 62 they had this past year. They might have 500 people on their waiting list, but they were allocated funds for 62 units.
Mr. Falcon?
I believe earlier y'all made the statement that, at one time Caddo was taking care of, Allen Parish and Lincoln Parish, is that right?
Rapides
Lincoln.
in Lincoln, yes, sir.
And who was taking care of the parishes in between them?
We had some of them.
I would say DeSoto, Red River, Sabine, Natchitoches, Rapides is down here southeast of Natchitoches Parish.
St.
sir.
Mary
Who
Parish.
Who took care of that?
St. Mary.
That's in yellow now. Who was taking care of that when Caddo was taking care of Rapides Parish?
Of which particular parish, sir?
We were.
The parish that we have now, we've had for a while.
But when Caddo was in the business of
Yes, sir, they only
weatherization,
had 3 parishes.
none of them parishes neighbored to them though.
No, sir. LaSalle in blue had Grant, Wynn, and Jackson that connect Rapides and Lincoln.
So why can't, and I have no idea who's over the green district or the red district or the blue district, but there's 3 other entities here that does weatherization that could take in Caddo Parish and we wouldn't have to fool with them.
And they didn't submit a bid for it.
Apparently, they had some reason they didn't want it. Something we might be looking at.
Yeah, what's y'all take on it? Y'all do this every day. Your office, y'all dealing with all these, how many parishes we have so far? 10, 11? So what would that do to y'all? How would that affect y'all if y'all took on Caddo? I know you say you may have to hire somebody else, but.
All this brick with the bunch.
To hire a new crew.
Okay.
We would have to hire a new crew.
They got 19,
definitely.
18, and 16.
And that's gonna come out the DeSoto Parish constituents, good, pop.
Mm-hmm.
DeSoto Parish.
Oh, question.
Call for question, Mr. Fuller.
Someone call for the question. Call for the question,
For,
so,
for you, your committee to vote.
yeah, so let's vote.
It's not time.
Thinking hard.
So we voting. That's gonna tie up our money. I can't tie it, I can't tie it up. I can't. Tie it up, I'm sorry.
One no and one abstain, so motion failed. I'm sorry.
Can't tie it.
Cause I got mixed feelings about it.
Got a motion and second to adjourn that meeting?
So moved.
You got a motion and a second to adjourn that
Yes.
meeting?
So moved.
Second. Move to carry, thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work also. Thank you.
Good job.
Buildings and properties?
Building and Properties Committee is called to order. Call for any additions or deletions. Any guests and public comment? Hearing none, we'll move to these two items. So, as we all know, the detention center, we came in way over budget. So I told Mr. Norton I was didn't have anything on the agenda, but I amended to get the jurors, the committee's ideas on funding source for the detention center. Let me see on here.
So moved.
So move.
Motion-
So move.
Motion by Mr. Kyle Kennington, second
No.
by.
No,
Well,
Jody
what-
was asking what the motion was.
It was said earlier in
Is
the.
this-
Adopt the resolution?
Yeah,
Funding for the
discuss funding source for the detention center.
For fire sprinklers, what? I mean, fire sprinklers, you say?
Uh,
No, for the jail.
No.
funding source for the new detention. center.
Okay, yeah.
Proposed.
I made,
Mr. Fuller,
You second or make it?
I made the motion.
Motion by Mr. Fuller. Did you second that, Ms. Kennington, or you?
I'll second it or make the motion, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Second by Mr. Kennington. You know, when the, as, you know, the jury body and the committee members, as we know, we were way over budget on the new detention center. And just for a point of information, we're gonna have to fix the fire extinguishers over there in the detention center already. So I told him I was gonna put it on up for discussion and see if any of the jurors had any comments or any ideas on the funding source or what we're gonna do. Are we gonna go out for a proposed tax? Just looking at, I'm just throwing it all out there. Committee members and the rest of the jury, you can get in this discussion too, even though it's on building and properties. Mr. Kyle, you got some ideas?
Well, I know, at our last meeting, I asked Miss Lilly, to come up with some proposals or ideas. Have you had a chance to look at any of that?
Yes, sir. I actually briefly let y'all know something on my financial report last time. I mean, we're looking at having to come up with about $8 million. We could go back to the bonding, state bond commission for that. Only source to go through that will be the excess amount that we're having in sales tax revenue that's within the jail fund. It's roughly about maybe, I will say 500,000 that we could go ahead and we'll have to go to the State Bond Commission to ask for that additional 8 million. But to be able to repay back, we could use that surplus that we're having right now. But that doesn't guarantee we're gonna keep having that surplus. I think our original note is for 12 years. So that was one avenue. Another avenue would be, I think in the jail from sales tax, I want to say it's 10% or 15%, one of those. On that sales tax education, we could go back to the people for a vote and change some of those numbers around, those percentages. Other than that, I mean, will be to go back to ask for a sales tax or property tax to be able to, go and pay debt. All these options that you're looking at, either taking that to the people, that will take time until we can get it up for election, even going to the State Bond Commission and seeing if we could bond that money using that surplus on the sales tax that we're currently receiving. That still will take time to go through that whole process. So you're still looking about a year from now, depending on how y'all want to go and decide on that.
Mr. Chairman, I think in talking to the sheriff a couple months ago, and I think Michael's had conversations with him, he's got them looking now at separating out the detention facility from his office and seeing what that budget would actually look like. I think if we wait until he gets further along in that process, and I believe he's just at the infant stage right now.
Correct.
But we'll know more. We'll know more how him separating those projects and the value engineering that they're doing. We'll know how that affects our numbers. And so I don't know. I mean, clearly, I don't claim to be a math whiz, but it sounds like we don't have the money, and we don't have a source for the money, and we don't have taxpayer confidence to get the money right now. And I'm not saying that it's not a unneeded, I don't know if that's a word, but I mean, we need to be thinking about it and looking at it, because it's gonna cost us one way or the other. And it's our responsibility to pay for it, no matter what we decide to do. If we remodel the old jail or build a new one, but I don't know that we can make a intelligent decision at this point until we find out how he navigates that whole situation.
Well, my main point for putting it on here is to get the whole jury body involved in, kind of what was going on. So everybody kind of gets the same update. And the update is, since we were discussing the detention center, you tell them about the fire protectors.
The sprinkler system, yeah,
Sprinkler system.
we were notified yesterday that we got wrote up by the state fire marshal, and we have until August 7th to get it in compliance, or else.
Yeah.
So we met with the vendor today and discussed that, and there is an action plan to have them come out tomorrow to get it in play, get it fixed. And
State of emergency, it has to be fixed.
They really did one sprinkler system in that jail.
I don't know. That's prior to me. Yes, sir.
We did something to the sewer, I know. When the sewer, I know
No,
about
we
sprinkler.
did the sprinkler. I remember they painted them.
We replaced all the sprinkler heads in that jailhouse just a
Yeah,
couple of years
I
ago.
know
Yeah,
we did.
2 years ago, I believe, Keith.
Mhm.
2 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was about 2 years ago, they had painted them, and that was not acceptable to the
Yeah.
fire
You
marshal.
know, sometimes I feel like well, I'm gonna leave that alone, but,
Yeah,
Well,
we
well,
don't
my
need
main
to have
point
them
was just to
things.
get everybody informed. That's why I really put it on there, kind of what was going on. So,
Our sales tax that we have now is split 4 different ways, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
The jail gets part of it. the library gets part of it.
Yes, sir.
And what else?
Solid waste
Solid
and,
waste.
and the road fund.
And the road fund.
Yes, sir.
So you're talking about possibly going to the jurors, I mean to the voters, to see if we could reallocate any of that money.
Right, the proposition,
Because we can't use it for building a jail as it is now. We can't
You-
use
you could
the
only use the-
library
Could
fund.
only
Correct.
use.
Can't use the road fund money.
Right, or something.
yes, sir. And any proposition that's drafted would state this is a rededication of that sales tax. It's not a new tax. It's one that we currently pay. And if that were to fail, it's just a failed of rededication. You still have your 1% currently allocated as such.
But like I said, my
You
main,
gonna fail.
jest of putting it on there was so everybody could get informed and kind of know, and that was good point, what you brought out, Kyle, about the sheriff, and I knew he was gonna split it, but, out from that, but.
I do think it'd be prudent for the jury to, any extra sales tax money we get or anything that's, anytime we find $1 million, I mean, I know I've been ringing this bell since we started or before we started talking about plans, but we need to set that money aside because it's coming. That day is coming, and whether we find another solution or not.
That's the problem though, Mr. Kennington. Any sales tax money we get that's extra can't be set aside for anything like this because it's dedicated to spend on library, it's dedicated to spend on roads, it's dedicated to spend on that. When we brought up the last sales tax, that was one of the things you brought up. We had all this extra sales tax money that could be used for the animal shelter or whatever. But we can't use that money for anything else because it's dedicated to these 4 items.
We definitely, if you give me a pen and a piece of paper, we can find some money.
You can write a check. What'd you say?
There you go.
Okay, we'll move
Furnish
on
you all
to
the
the,
paper you need.
move on to the, that was just for discussion. The next one, is, need to go out for bids on the roof for the 4-H building. I need a motion for that.
So move.
Second by Mr. Kennington. Any discussion?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Why we going out for bid on the 4-H bid?
Ma'am? I think
Well-
it's leaking like a sifter, Ms. Gill.
I can comment on this. Y'all voted, y'all authorized us to spend up to 400,000,
Yeah.
and we are actively going out. This won't have to come back to the jury until we get an actual number.
Okay.
Now, we have an idea, what it's
Right.
gonna cost to replace it versus just do a ceiling job right now, but,
Yeah.
y'all have already authorized us to do what you're asking tonight.
Really?
And the advertisement's gonna go out, get the number, and then we bring that back to y'all and say, here's the number, y'all have to authorize to accept this
Now,
bid.
the last I remember, it was supposed to be either or. Or we supposed to be making a decision whether we gonna fix it, can repair the whole roof, or do the other option with the,
The facility.
yeah. Or not go out for bids for the $400,000. That ain't how I remember. And that's exactly what I'm talking about when I was talking about, we not being in the loop on things. When we see it, it's right here. So we ain't really made the decision. It's being made for us. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Cause that's what we said in the last meeting.
Well-
It was either or.
I
We
made,
need to decide either or. Instead of saying we going out for bids for this, we ain't never decided which way we were gonna do it.
I think
Ms.
the
Burrell?
jury decided to,
Comment on that. The bid's gonna go out, has a replacement, and then has an alternate to restore it. So when we come back with you with those bids, you're gonna have both numbers.
Okay, we'll
That's
say
how,
that.
that's how it was, Ms. Burrell. That they were gonna get bids on the replacement, and they were gonna get bids on just the sealant. They were doing both.
Of course, all them folk gotta say, they read our minutes. They already know what to vote.
what's that, Richard?
I say, people have read our, agenda, how much we already voted to go up to 400,000. So they already know how much to bid. So, you know,
Exactly.
that's crazy.
Well, I think we got some new product in that's gonna be bidding on it for Siller. I don't know, have they contact you yet, Mr.
Yeah,
Norton?
I know that the jury approved y'all up to $400,000.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
They don't
could be
contact
wrong,
me.
but-
Be clear, they don't contact me. They contact
Right,
finance.
I'm sorry. Yeah, right.
I'm just saying.
Right, oh,
something.
yeah, clear it up.
One minute we talking about where we gonna get money to repair the shed and sprinkler system, and next we saying, let's spend $400,000 on the 4H building when we need sprinklers at the jail.
Separate budget, Miss Jerry.
Nah, I don't care, it's money that we ain't got.
The jury authorized to spend up to that amount, but have they authorized to go out to bids? I don't remember that.
We just authorized it.
Yes.
We had to authorize it in the
Right.
budget to take it to
take it
bid.
to bid,
And we're
right.
just getting the bids, so we're not taking somebody's word that this is what it's gonna cost.
Okay, well, that's a good deal. Okay.
Right.
Well, if that's the case. I
Like
hear-
clarity, he say.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Fuller, second by Mr. Kennington.
Yep.
All in favor? Aye. Adjourn.
Special meeting call to order. Any guests and public comments? Any additions and deletions to the special meeting? New business. Adopt a resolution for the parish to clear roads as needed within town, cities, and village when an emergency declared has been issued.
So moved. Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Fuller, second by Mr. Mitchell. Discussion?
You go.
Yes, sir.
Is this gonna be after we take care of the parish roads?
Yes, sir.
It doesn't say
They
that.
say as needed
Just whoever
in
get hurt.
towns, as needed.
I understand it, but if a storm hits here and it's got 15 of the parish roads blocked, and it's got some roads blocked in Logansport or Stonewall or Mansfield, which one do we go work first?
Well, of course, it's gonna be the
Well,
parish.
It doesn't say that, though. It's
Okay.
not saying that in this motion.
Okay, well, let me redo the motion.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
My thing is, like, if trees are down and they end up fixing wherever they down at, we got more than one crew that can clean trees. We don't just have to clean what's on the parish road. The city, I mean,
They don't
those
care
are our
about
people
the
too.
cities.
Those are our constituents too. They are. We can't put them out. They're our constituents, the cities. So we gotta remember that. I mean, we represent the parish, DeSoto Parish as a whole, not township or this ship. We represent the parish as a whole.
I mean, each situation probably will be different, so that would be up to the supervisor of what needs to be done first.
If it's bad,
You know, I mean, if you got 5 trees down in the parish blocking the road, you got 1 tree on the car with a family, I mean, I'm quite sure I want to go get that family first. Things happen.
Now, to be clear, Woodley receives
yeah.
all those calls during those emergency, and he assesses based on the greatest need, and they're typically the parish roads are first.
Right.
And the resolution is needed, and it's needed quickly, because the declaration of emergency expires July 15th. And in order for us to do work in the towns and be reimbursed through GOSEP and FEMA, we need to have that resolution adopted as soon as possible.
So moved.
Okay, we're gonna leave it as written. Got a second, made the motion by Mr. Fuller. Second by Dwayne Mitchell, Mr. Dwayne Mitchell. Any more discussion? If none, please vote.
Miss.
1 remaining. Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Mitchell made the, motion. Everybody, seconded. Everybody adjourned. All in favor, aye? Aye. We're adjourned. Thank y'all.
all right.
Now, let me see if I read it.